Let's have a look at Ethereum again. I haven't done an Ethereum update on this channel for quite a while. I do make my daily updates for the premium members around Ethereum and altcoins in general, but here on this YouTube channel I haven't. And I want to share what I currently think about this market, because a lot of people are relatively uncertain, right? They look at the merge, they think, okay, there might be a lot of hype going on. What actually happens after the merge? But what about looking at all of this simply from a TA perspective? What about simply looking at the best moving averages that tended to work in the past, right? One could take just any moving average, but it's not really smart just to take any moving average, right? To say, just take the 100-day moving average and then marginally say, okay, we are bearish or we are bullish, depending on this specific moving average. One could take any kind of moving average, but what's important is we have to set this duration of that moving average in a way that we get proper buying and selling signals, right? The idea is we want to be out of the market whenever the price is below the moving average and in the market whenever the price is above. You can backtest this. You can find out what's the best duration. And that's what I've done. I've done this for several assets. And here in red, this is the best exponential moving average for Ethereum. And here in blue, we've got the best simple moving average. The simple moving average, by the way, has also a bit of a buffer around this. So here we only go bullish once we cross this upper band. There are prior videos on this channel, so if you're interested in the exact calculation, how this is actually done, feel free to check out those videos. Here, this is simply just a market update. And when we look at this right now, we can see we are actually bearish. Okay, we crossed the simple moving average. We also triggered the lower buffer over here. So the latest one should have been bearish is here on the 20th of August. And now those moving averages are more or less resistance lines, right? This also worked the other way around, right? So we were pretty bullish starting on the 16th of July. And we rode this positive momentum for quite a while. So here, let's check that out. On the 17th of July, very bullish ETH breakout. And so we want to look at this in the broader context, right? So Ethereum doesn't look too great. When we look at Bitcoin, it's not that different. Note how here the duration of those moving averages is slightly different, right? We have backtested this for all kinds of different assets. Here we've got total 3. So this is a measure of the altcoin market, pretty much the same thing. So I personally am currently rather risk off. I don't take a lot of risks. The way I try to currently beat the market is to simply just identify early altcoin projects, or try to find interest rate arbitrage opportunities, try to generate some kind of alpha that's relatively independent of the general market expanding or contracting. Because currently I think it's more likely that we are in for even more pain. The 20K might not necessarily, at least in the short term, hold. In the long term, of course, we've got quite a few positive signs, right? There is this nice website, Look Into Bitcoin, and here we can see Bitcoin charts. This is not Ethereum related, but we all know the correlation between Bitcoin and Ethereum is relatively high in terms of US dollars. And over here, right, over the very long term, we do have our nice supporting models, such as the 200-week moving average, where we are pretty close to that. Used to be a pretty good support in the past. Or when we look at this logarithmic regression, also for Bitcoin over the last years, pretty low over here. So there are signs that in the very grand scheme of things, we are low. But short term, these moving averages tend to indicate price movements in the next days relatively reliably. Thus, I'm waiting with my next DCA until we really cross those moving averages again. I do not bet on this trend here to continue to stay, because trend lines are really marginal, right? One could also have drawn a trend line like this, right? Then we could say, okay, we have already broken that trend. So drawing resistances and supports are very subjective, but back-tested indicators are not. Now, what about Ethereum relative to Bitcoin? That's the somewhat long-term chart. Yeah, let's zoom out a little bit. And there's two ways to interpret this, right? One way would be, okay, over the years, Ethereum is simply now pretty expensive in the large overall trading range, right? Something like this. One could simply say, okay, Bitcoin is undervalued here and Ethereum is overvalued. But on the other hand, Ethereum also progressed quite a bit in its development, right? A lot of Web3 is dependent on ETH. A lot of ETH is locked up in various contracts, not just for the merge, but also as treasury in various DAO projects, etc. So I think looking at this in that simplistic way is probably not a good approach. What might work somewhat is to try to time very heated and very cheap prices in the medium term, right? Where we are now neither very cheap on ETH nor very expensive. A lot of this is also up to personal preference. ETH has the advantage of technical development, of potentially replacing parts of traditional finance with decentralized finance. Bitcoin has the big advantage of being truly decentralized, right? Being not able to get stopped by a single government. So Bitcoin is more the conservative play. Thus, if we do expect over the long term that crypto is going down, Ethereum is likely going to go down more simply due to its inherent leverage. Times are bullish, Ethereum tends to rise more. When times are bearish, Ethereum tends to fall more. In this current environment with all the potential risk also that's in the merge, right? Some people say this will be very positive for Ethereum. Others say it might be very bearish. With all of that uncertainty, I personally prefer Bitcoin a bit more. That being said, once we see again how we see a clear breakout over those moving averages, and once we trade also above 2000 again, then I think we might be off to the races again. But until then, I rather stay cautious. Momentum is not necessarily on our side right now in the next weeks or so. That's at least my perspective based on those back-tested technical indicators. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to join our Telegram group. That's Bitcoin Strategy Channel. Simply search for that within the Telegram app. And if you're wondering how I currently navigate this market, where I currently try to generate my alpha, feel free to also check out thebitcoinstrategy.com. That's the premium membership. More information is in this video over here. Hope to see you in that video, and thanks for watching this one. Bye bye.